In this video, I'm gonna be breaking down all the top niches online in order to make money so that you can get things like this, little bends, or even things like this. Obviously, these things don't matter like crazy, but it does show you that I know what I'm talking about, and I have tried a lot of the things that I'm gonna talk to you about, and I'm gonna just keep it 100% real. I have everything on here: drop shipping, Amazon, courses, everything. Everything's gonna be on here, and I'm gonna just keep it 100% real. And if you thought OFM was gonna be on here, it's not, because you're an idiot if you're even considering doing OFM. So let's just dive right into the video. This is what we got so far. We have drop shipping, we have AI wrapper companies. These are really popular right now, and honestly, they're doing pretty well. We have Amazon FBA, which is what I do and how I make money. We have social media marketing agency, again, something I've tried and made money off of. Courses and information, which again, also there. Stocks, I've also did. Real estate, dabbled a little bit. TikTok shop, not really. Copywriting and software companies. I also have this extra thing, because this stuff does matter right here, right? Because if I was to just blatantly rank these, it would, okay, yes, you would get some good information out of it, but to know the speed to the first dollar, your learning curve, your profitability, and your exitability is gonna be really big. So what we're gonna do here is 1 to 10 for these numbers, and I'm gonna individually rank each of these. If it's a 1, it's bad, and if it's a 10, it's good. So that's what I'm gonna do for each of these so that you have an idea, an extra form of knowing something good or bad. So obviously S class is the best, T class is the worst. So starting off with dropshipping here, I would say that dropshipping is probably, for the individual ranking, I would probably say your speed to your first dollar is somewhere like a 6. I would say that the learning curve is actually not as easy as people assume it to be. Obviously, it depends if you're doing ads or organic, but you have to learn a lot of different skills when you're talking about dropshipping. You have to learn how to make websites. You have to do SEO. You have to sometimes know how to do email, know how to make content, know how to run ads. There's a lot of different things that go into it, and the learning curve isn't as good as people make it out to be for it being such a beginner entry-level niche. So profitability, dropshippers usually have some decent profit margins. I'm not gonna lie, I would probably put that at like a 7 or an 8. And for exitability, honestly, I would put dropshipping at a 10. It's one of the best things that you can exit long term if you are successful with it. And so with all that being said, I would probably put dropshipping somewhere like between B and C. Obviously, there's different levels of dropshipping, and a lot of these are gonna really just depend on the type of person that you are. If I'm being completely honest, right, don't click off the video, because there's gonna be great information about all of these. But the truth is, with any of these niches and then some, it just literally depends the type of person that you are. If you're the type of person that's just gonna make something work and hustle it out and grind in the trenches, all of these work. They all work. Nothing's truly dead or too saturated. They all work. But obviously, dropshipping's prime was, a few years back when Facebook ads weren't as expensive as it is now and things like that. AI wrapper company, this one is super huge right now. And going to the individual ranking, speed to your first dollar, I'd say this one's gonna be pretty difficult. I would say this is probably like a 2. And I would also say that your learning curve, I mean, to be fair, all of us probably watching this are decently fluent with AI, but you are gonna have to know some coding and some front-end development skills as well. So, I would put the learning curve also pretty low. Remember, with these individual rankings, 1 is the worst and 10 is the best. For your learning curve with an AI wrapper company, either using Claude or ChatGPT or some type of other AI, I would put this also pretty low. I'd probably say it's a 3. Profitability, super profitable. Obviously, it is considered like, a mini software. And again, yeah, they're super popular right now. Definitely super profitable. Because your only expenses are the tokens that you're using in order to, execute the commands with the AI that your customers are using. So profitability, I'm putting that at like an 8. Exitability, I would also put at an 8. It could even be really a 9, or it could be a 9. Exitability could be a 9, just because software is generally pretty easy to exit. The only reason it's not a 10 is there are a lot of AI wrapper companies coming out every single day, and the people that are looking to buy these companies probably have a lot of options to buy from, if I'm just being completely honest. With that being said, I think AI wrapper company does fall into the terms of A tier, but again, that's why I have this individual ranking. That's why it's very important, because yes, even though this is an A tier, this is generally a hard niche to get into if you know absolutely nothing. Kind of similar to dropshipping, it just has a little bit more reward opposed to risk, in my opinion. Amazon FBA, this is obviously what I do, and I'm gonna just keep it straight up. I'm not gonna lie about any of this. This is not to funnel you into anything crazy. This is just to give you guys a basic understanding of what you guys wanna do, because honestly, picking your first niche is one of the biggest things. The vehicle that you're using to make money is arguably arguably one of the most important decisions that you're gonna have to make in the beginning when you're starting off in a business. So for Amazon FBA and selling, speed to your first dollar. Speed to your first dollar is generally gonna be pretty easy. I would put that at a 9. Like, you can make money pretty easy. That doesn't mean that you're gonna make a lot of money, but getting to your first dollar is generally gonna be pretty easy. Learning curve, I would throw at a 5. It's not the most easy thing to understand. If you don't have someone helping you or walking you through, it's gonna look like a freaking, the dashboard alone is gonna look ridiculously confusing. But I think that goes for a lot of things like this, even like Facebook ads. Profitability, I forgot what I ranked dropshipping at, but I think profitability for Amazon FBA, I mean, it depends the knowledge that you have and how you're running the business, which it depends on a whole lot of things. And there's so many subcategories: online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, private label, wholesale. But I think as a whole, profitability, I would also put pretty low. I think I would put it at like a 6. And for exitability, I think it would also generally be on the lower side. I don't see too many people exiting their Amazon companies. Of course, it does happen. It's definitely not high. It's probably like a 6.5. With that being said, again, I would probably rank this as an A tier. It could arguably be considered an S tier. I think it's the best form of e-commerce in my opinion, just because you have Amazon handling all of the difficult stuff for you, fulfillment, support, and you don't have to run ads. You don't have to make a website. So, I mean, it depends the type of person you are. This could easily be considered an S. Obviously, I consider it an S. I mean, this is my video. I'm putting this in S tier. I'm not trying to be biased, but I obviously make money and make a good amount of money from Amazon FBA, so obviously I'm gonna put it S tier. SMMA/agency, this is something I have done before, and I actually did this pretty profitably. Speed to first dollar, now it really depends. It depends the type of person you are, it depends the type of network that you have, how good are you at closing and sales, because you are gonna have to close the people that you are trying to get into your agency. Generally, if you have a good product though, it's really not hard. The product usually speaks for itself. I'd say speed to first dollar, at least for me. Of course, I can't speak for any of you guys, but for the type of person that I am, speed to my first dollar is a 10. Super easy to close your first client. That doesn't mean that you're not gonna be in a hamster wheel. Some of these you're really getting put in a hamster wheel. I think with an agency, you are generally in a hamster wheel because you're a slave to your clients. You don't have that much freedom. You're working way more than a 9 to 5, if I'm being honest. That doesn't mean that you can't get to the point where you aren't, but I do think that in the beginning, you're generally gonna be slaving away. Learning curve, the learning curve for an agency. I mean, you obviously have to know what you're talking about, and usually you would have had to do it yourself in order to start selling other people on it. I'm gonna put this at a 3. Profitability, an agency can be super profitable for the simple fact that a lot of it is just work, right? If you do the work yourself, you essentially have very little overhead. Like I said, you are spending a lot of time, so there's that, but essentially you're pretty good on profitability. I'd say profitability is like a 9 for an agency. I'd say exitability is also a 9. If you have a lot of good clients and you have a good product, someone will be willing to pay top dollar for it. The thing is, if that's the case, why would you sell it? But there is generally good stuff about an agency or social media marketing. I'm gonna throw that in S. I'm gonna throw that in S for sure. Because a lot of people don't really care that they're being put in a hamster wheel. People just want to make a lot of money and be very profitable. And I think with an agency, it's generally pretty easy to do that. Like I said, once you get to certain numbers, it depends your niche, of course, but once you start hitting like 10, 15, 20K months, after that, it's gonna be pretty damn hard to scale. But a lot of people don't even care. If you're making $0 a month, 20K a month for you is like the ultimate goal. So courses and info. Obviously, courses and info are really hot. It damn near feels like everyone is trying to either help someone make money with their course or start their own course. I think your speed to your first dollar, actually, this is really revised for 2026. I think right now in the general market, your speed to your first dollar is going to be really low. I'm honestly putting it at a 2. Now, a lot of you might be biased or think that, oh, it's super good. You see all these guys making a bunch of money. First of all, the guys that you're seeing that are selling courses, they need to show off their lifestyle enough to where you believe that it's fire. And you just happen to take it a little further and be like, no, selling courses is the method. And believe me, selling courses and information is 100% a method, and it's a really good one at that, considering that you have very little overhead. But again, you do have to take into these things account. Your speed to your first dollar is generally going to be pretty low. If you have no reputation, no trust, no results, it is going to be damn near impossible for you to make money with it. And if you don't believe me and you think that I'm just lying so that you don't, start doing it, I truthfully don't care. You're not going to take any money out of my pocket. Go ahead and try it and let me know that you're going to try it so that I know that you're going to fail. Because if you're in the beginning, you have no results, you've never done what you're teaching, you're horrible at making content, you're not going to, you have to learn a lot of different things with courses and info. The only good thing about courses and information is that you have like legitimately zero overhead. You are all profit. That's the one amazing thing about information that some of these other niches don't have. But the learning curve, I'm honestly gonna put this as a 1, because again, if you don't know what you're talking about, in this economy in 2026, people know, even if they're generally not, super knowledgeable about your business model, they know when you're faking it. If you have no results to show them, you don't know what you're talking about, no one's gonna trust you. And we are in a trust economy deficit right now. Right now, people are trusting creators and people online at an all-time low, and for good reason. People are trying to sling courses, making $0 a month from the business that they're teaching. Like, obviously someone's gonna catch on, and I think that's exactly what's happening. Profitability, I'm putting this at a 10. Easy. Exitability, you guys would be super surprised, but exitability on courses is really, really, really low. Considering that you are the face of the course that you're selling. If you try to leave, the people that are inside are gonna be unsatisfied, and no one else is going to join because they really joined for you. And a lot of creators get that wrong nowadays. But with that being said, I think I'm throwing courses in a B. Courses is B tier. A lot of people probably would put courses and information in S tier. But like I said, you would have to have done another business model or something super successfully in order to start a successful course. With that being said, it's the only reason that it's not an S tier, right? If it would be an S tier if that wasn't the case, but you have to learn whatever you're telling. Let's say you're doing a dropshipping course. If you don't know dropshipping, then this is going to be ultimately worthless. It would be far below an F. And so that's the reason I'm putting it in the middle. All right, let's talk about stocks. Also something I currently and have done successfully. Now, there are different methods and versions of stocks, right? A lot of people are big on funded accounts and that type of stuff. I'm not too big on it. I think it's pretty dumb. I think if you need to pay money to get, to get more money to play with, I think you generally just don't know how to do it. And that should say enough about, whether you should continue the business model or not. But stocks obviously are really good. I think your speed to your first dollar is a 1. Easy. I think learning curve is a 1. I think your profitability is probably along the lines of an 8. There's a statistic that 98 or 99% of stock traders are unprofitable. And if you have traded stocks or done options or done funded accounts and things like that, you know how true that is. You know how true that statistic is. I fell victim to it as well. In the beginning, I was like, nah, that can't be true. It can't be 99%. It is damn near 99%. Your exitability is also a 1. You can't really exit stocks. No one is going to be buying it, but obviously you're building up assets, which could be, you know what, F it. Let's just put it at 10, because you are building up these assets, and these assets are easily sellable at any given point in time. Yeah, I was wrong about that. With that being said, I'm honestly going to put stocks. I'm going to put stocks D tier. Stocks are a D tier. If you're trying to get rich off trading, I think you're cooked. I'm not gonna lie. It's just my opinion. I make a lot of money off stocks, but I also don't day trade anymore. I used to day trade, and that was a hassle. You're spending a ridiculous amount of your mental capacity on trying to figure out how to trade. That's really one of the biggest costs to trading stocks. You are going to be cooking your mental in order to figure out how to successfully trade. I'm putting in D tier, and I feel pretty comfortable putting in D tier. All right, let's talk about real estate. Also, guys, if you have any comments or you think I'm wrong about any of these, leave it in the comment section. We're open to discussion. I could be wrong about a few of these or make some bad points, but I generally think I'm pretty on the money. But yeah, I'm open to comments. Also, while you're down there, leave a like and subscribe, and yeah, let's get into it. So with real estate, your speed to your first dollar, dude, it's gonna take forever. It's gonna take forever straight up. Not everyone even has the capital to start entering a real estate market, but to ignore that the most amount of millionaires in America has been generated through real estate, to ignore that statistic is stupid, because that is a true statistic. And for that simple fact, that's why this is up here. Real estate has always been a really good way to make money, at least for the last 50 to 100 years. And I don't think it's gonna die anytime soon. I don't know why we don't just build more houses. There's so much unused land in America. I don't even know why certain cities are so inflated, but you can't deny the facts. And the facts are that majority of the millionaires in America have been created through real estate. Now, whether that's through selling their real estate or the assets that they have in is neither here nor there. The most amount of millionaires in America are people that own real estate. Simple as that. Learning curve, also not gonna be super easy. I'm probably putting this at a 4, maybe even a 3, just because you have to know a lot in order to make a lot of money off of it. And it's not like a quick little flip. These are, you're taking out mortgages for these houses, right? 30-year mortgage. They're about to add the 50-year mortgage, bro. So, little tip with that, I think I think real estate is gonna shoot up like crazy once they include the 50-year mortgage, because when they added the 30-year mortgage, real estate shot up, because obviously that means more people are gonna be qualified to purchase a house, which is just gonna inflate the market and suck out the supply, and demand's gonna go through the roof. Profitability, I think this is generally super profitable. If you're thinking long term, 10, 15, 20 years, the chances that the price of your home is down is dude, this is a 10. This is a 10. I'm literally convincing myself as we speak. Exitability is also a 10. All right. people need to live in houses. You can rent them out. You can buy them. You have a lot of different paths with this. You can generally make a lot of money if you know what you're talking about. But nonetheless, I'm not putting it S tier. I don't think it's S tier. But to ignore, again, that statistic, I'm putting this A tier. Let me make this a little smaller. I'm putting it A tier, and I feel comfortable putting it there. TikTok Shop. TikTok Shop has been super popping lately. I think it's actually on the downtrend, if I'm being honest. I think like 6 months ago to a year ago was like people were just milking money. But I think a lot of people are back on it now. I think a lot of people have caught on to it, and a lot of people are trying it. That doesn't mean that it's not good. So let's go, let's do the individual ranking. I think your speed to your first dollar, I think it's a 10. I think you're gonna make, again, similar to Amazon, it's gonna be generally pretty easy to be making some profit, making some money. But that doesn't mean that you're gonna become a millionaire off that, or you're gonna start hitting 10, 20, 30, $40,000 months your first 2 months. I don't think that's the case. I think if you're good at UGC content, you look good, you sound good, you have a good tone, I think this is pretty easy, but there is a learning curve, right? If you don't have those things that I listed, if you don't have those skills, it's gonna be decently hard in order to learn. Nah, it's not gonna be decently hard. It's not hard to learn how to make content, right? It really will only take you a few months of putting your head down. But after you learn those few skills, like making content, sounding good, having, maybe a script or two, you kind of got the gist. I'm putting a learning curve at 5. I think, actually it's a little higher. I'm gonna put it at a 7 because, dude, I see old moms and dads like doing TikTok Shop. If they can do it, the learning curve's gotta be easy. I'm not gonna lie, I'm just keeping it a buck. Profitability is super good, but again, you're doing affiliate marketing, so you're not taking home all the chicken, right? Somebody is gonna be taking up a majority of that pie. But I can't deny, I have seen some pretty big numbers from some people. I do know some reputable people that are making some money from TikTok Shop. I'm gonna put this at a 5. And your exitability, you got nothing. Exitability is 0. But let's go to the tier list, right? Let's see where this lands at. What are you guys thinking? I'm gonna put it at a B. I'm only gonna put it at a B because we all have TikTok. We all have a phone in our hand. It's so easily accessible and so easy to make your first dollar. That's why it's up there. The only reason it's not higher is because you have no exitability, right? And you obviously are lacking some type of other skill. If you're doing affiliate marketing or anything like similar to TikTok Shop, you are lacking a certain skill that's stopping you from being able to do something like branded dropshipping or private label with Amazon FBA. Because you could know everything how to do TikTok Shop, but the only reason that you haven't started your own product is because you lack other skills, right? If you were so good at TikTok Shop and you had all the skills in the world, why wouldn't you do it for yourself? Exactly. Because you are lacking the skills in order to turn that into a real product on private label, Amazon FBA, or starting your own product up with dropshipping on Shopify. It's the only reason it's not higher. Copywriting. I think copywriting is cooked. I'm not gonna lie, with AI, there's no need for a lot of lower end people to need a copywriter anymore. You can generally get, speed to your first dollar is gonna be pretty hard. I'm putting that at a 2 or a 3. Your learning curve is gonna be pretty easy. It's not that hard to learn how to write, in my opinion. Of course, guys, for any of these, I'm excluding the top of the top. Obviously, if you're at the top of your niche, you're gonna be like, oh no, it's insanely hard to get here. Obviously, no duh. Like top 1% of any of these is super talented and making millions of dollars, I'm sure. But learning curve is actually pretty easy, in my opinion. I'm putting the learning curve at a 9, right? That doesn't mean that you're gonna start making a lot of money, right? Speed to your first dollar is generally pretty low, in my opinion. And profitability, I could put profitability at an 8. I feel comfortable with that at an 8 because you're literally just writing words, bro. It's not, if you're generally pretty good at it, it's not gonna be hard to convince people that you're good at it and your copy looks good and that it's gonna make them money. It depends the niche, of course. There are a lot of different niches with copywriting, but if you pick the right niche, you could definitely make some good money. But I think with AI, it's either, if you're on the good side of AI, it's making things easier for the guys who are already in it. And if you're on the bad side of it and you're not really using it, you're just stabbing yourself in the foot because your competitors are using it and they're blowing you out of the water. Exitability, you're at a 0. I think this is the first 0 I threw in. You have nothing. No one is buying your copy. You have nothing. You're writing words on a screen. It could easily be taken away. With that being said, I think copywriting falls in a C tier. I'm putting copy C, right? I'm not saying it's dead. I'm not saying you can't make money from it, but I think just with all of these stacked up, like how these are looking right now, I don't even feel comfortable putting it in a B tier. I don't feel comfortable putting copywriting in the same thing I put courses in. And last but certainly not least, we have software. Now, there's a difference between an AI wrapper company and a software, and I'll get into that right here. An AI wrapper company could be more like an app, right? Apps are super popping with AI, right? They got Cal AI, they have the Quitter app, right? Those are all AI wrapper companies that just spawned in and started hitting 100K weeks, 100K days. Like with software, it's more, you know, you're more in depth in the niche. This is the Go High Level logo, but it's even deeper than that. Go High Level just allows you to kind of create your own backend CRM for certain agencies, which Go High Level is the software itself. But if you're making your own software, the one thing similar to courses and information, you have to know what problems your client is having. And the only way to know is to actually do it yourself. And so that's gonna, you know, that's already gonna exclude it from an S tier for the simple fact that you have to know an entire different niche in order to get into software. Now, the great thing about software is your exitability. You have a 10 exitability. Your speed to your first dollar is not gonna be easy. I'm gonna put it low, but there's an exception, right? And the exception follows what I was saying. If you are an authority in your niche, right? Let's say you're doing drop shipping, right? If you are an authoritative figure in the drop shipping space, that's why you can partner a lot of these. That's the best part about it. If you're an authoritative figure in the drop shipping space, you can do drop shipping, you can do courses and information, and you could even do software. And that will allow you to scale this up super easily. If you're not an authoritative figure, the learning curve is going to be hard. You do have to learn an entire different niche in order to be here. I'm gonna put this pretty low too. I'm gonna put this at like a 2. Your profitability is gonna be really high. Now, to get it off the ground may be very difficult, but like I said, if you're an authoritative figure, this is generally gonna come pretty easily for you because, you know, similar to like Iman Gadzhi, right? He was doing a social media marketing agency. He became such an authoritative figure in this space that it was generally really easy for him to transition into software and make some money for him. So for him, he's super profitable. He probably didn't have to blow a lot of money. I'm sure he blew some good money, but I think generally opposed to how much he made and how profitable he was, I think he was actually pretty high, and I'm gonna put this at an 8. And I think your exitability is a 10. Like I said earlier, software is super easy because once people are in, there is no attachment to the face for the most part. Iman Gadzhi is a different example, but even him, he still probably has really good exitability on his software companies. I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but there is no face generally attached to a software company. So with that being said, when people buy this and they're usually on a monthly reoccurring revenue rate, right? They're buying a subscription for the most part, right? If you have a good product and your churn is low, right? Churn needs to be low. Churn is essentially how long a client stays. So if someone joins and then leaves the next month, you have very, very, very high churn. There's an exact mathematical calculation to be able to calculate it. But if you have high churn, this is cooked. You're not being successful. You're not gonna have any profitability, right? But if you have low churn, it's not attached to your face. Your money on the dashboard of the software company is gonna look like this, and your money on the dashboard of the software company is gonna look like this. And you have a good product. You're just gonna continue making money. All the old guys, right, are gonna keep paying, and you're gonna get new guys, and they're gonna keep paying all along the way. And it's generally really profitable, in my experience. With that being said, I'm gonna put software at a. I'm gonna put it in between A and B. Again, the only thing about a software is that you have to learn something else. You have to learn another type of niche, which is me not putting it in S tier. I'm not gonna put it in S tier. You have to learn a whole and different entire set of skills. But it generally is really profitable. It's easy to exit, and I think there's generally a lot of like actual fulfillment in making a nice software that people like because you're helping a lot of people. That's it, boys. I hope you like this video. If you want to learn more about what I do and how I make money with Amazon FBA, it's gonna be the first link in the description. But I hope you got a lot of valuable information from this video. That is my 2026 niche tier list. And with that being said, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.